Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to take a look at the Arc Audio MOTO 720 compact high-performance audio amplifier. Who's ready for this? Stay tuned. So of all the Arc Audio amplifiers, this one really holds a special place in my heart because this is the product that introduced us to Arc Audio. Many years ago, this came to us in this beautiful wood crate that Brian made, and at the time we really didn't even know Brian that well. It was brand new. We ended up giving the crate away. It was wood and it had branding on it. It was really neat. It was a really fun experience. And with that has spawned a great relationship. What we didn't do back then was an amp dyno. So today what we thought we'd do is reintroduce you to this cool 4-channel amplifier and then head over to the dyno and see what this thing puts out. I know, you guys like that stuff. Let's take a look at the box first and see what is happening. On the top of the box, we already read that, arcaudio.com. Turn on its side. Nothing really happening there. Simple. Very clean, very basic. Even on the back, there is this one little line, which is kind of funny. This is the bottom of the box. Please do not try to eat it. The other side of the box will yield much better results. Let's take a look at the inside. First thing we get is this cool Arc Audio. It comes on some nice, like, diploma style paper. It says Arc Audio MOTO 720. Thank you for taking part in the exciting launch of our new, most advanced and high-powered motorcycle power sport amplifier. This was the piece they put in the box when we got the amplifier. The MOTO 720 combines award-winning features of the MOTO 640, such as the industrial design that permits it to fit in the 2014 and up Harley-Davidson motorcycles, including street glides, road glides, not modifying the structure while adding more power while improving efficiency. Arc Audio MOTO 720 adds design features. Number 1, new input connectors and integrated speaker terminals to lessen damage due to vibration. New input range selector to adapt to a wider selection of input sources. New signal sense auto detect. Increased power output to 180 watts by 4 channels. And this is to give you an idea of when this actually happened. Pre-orders began 7/22 of 2019. Thank you for participating in the launch of the Arc Audio MOTO 720. Obviously, we're going to keep this because it is pretty cool. Now, for those of you that have never seen this amplifier before, from the top, the way you're seeing it, looks like a pretty standard amplifier. But from the side, that's where this gets a little bit more exciting. As you can see, this was designed to fit in a very specific application. Part of the bike that this was designed to go into is going to come around like this, so squaring this off could be an issue. They wanted to make this as compact as possible, and a lot of the times, when you look at the design of an amplifier, this being squared off, this is just dead area. They're not doing anything with it. They took the time and the expense to trim this down to slim up the amplifier. Where this would be more usable in our world is, let's say, underneath the seat of a car. A lot of the times you have these harnesses that need to ride over the top of the amplifier and will sometimes get caught. At that point, we now cannot put that amplifier into the seat, so this would lessen that as an issue. On the top of the amplifier, it has this 1/8 inch thick piece of aluminum that has the Arc Audio MOTO 720 logo built into it, and it has 4 screws, which means we have to unscrew it. Oh my gosh, and there we go. Here is the controls for the amplifier. The other nice thing too is that because this is just a standard aluminum panel, if I need to, I can move it this way, which is very nice. I could put it this way, maybe polish it, put a sticker on it, or re-engrave it. Just take this over to laser and make my own. I kind of like this. I like when manufacturers make it easy to upgrade and or make it make sense in its application. Let's take a closer look at the end of the amplifier, and then we'll circle back around to talking about the top. First up is the power input. This will take an 8 gauge. Internally, there's 2 30 amp fuses. When we pop the top off, we'll take a look at those. Ground is next. 2 input connectors here. Inside of the box, it comes with these clip-in RCA connectors. That way you don't have to have big RCAs on the end of the amplifier getting in the way way. They easily just snap in like this, and then you can make these connections a little bit further away. This will do both high level and low level on both inputs 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 simply by flicking these switches. That means if you're using a source that has mixed outputs, you can do both into this amplifier. Follow that up with remote turn on. Then we have our 4 speaker outputs divided into 2 pairs, channels 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There is a power protect light also. There's a whole diagnostic chart for this if the amplifier is doing something strange. What separates this amplifier from most amplifiers are these 2 switches here. They're unique to this, and what they allow you to do is control the power output of the amplifier. If you're just going to be hooking up 4 4-ohm speakers, you see here the arrow is pointing this way. Flick both switches to this. This will give the amplifier its full 150 watts of output. If you're hooking up a 4-ohm speaker and you put it in the 2-ohm load, then this will give less power of 85 watts per each channel. This would be nice if you're doing something like a tweeter and you would like less power going to it. You want to do staggered power. This also means if you're going to be doing 2-ohm speakers, you will get a little bit more power. It's their version of like constant power. At 4 ohms, you get all the power, and at 2 ohms, you can get all the power. Makes things really nice. This is also for bridged, so if you're going to be bridging this amplifier, let's say for 2 or 3 channel mode, make sure that it is all the way over to the right. It will only do 4 ohm bridged. Do not try to bridge it at 2 ohm, bad things will happen. Looking back on the silk screen here, as well as our adjustments for the amplifier, there's a lot to unload. These instructions are for if we're going to be doing 2-channel bridged mode at 4 ohms. What this allows us to do is use the inputs for 1 and 2 to populate both outputs. This is important because on a lot of amplifiers, in order to do this, you'd have to use some form of a Y jack. For this, you do not. That means that channel 1 is going to populate both 1 and 2. Channel 2 is going to populate both 3 and 4, making this a true 2-channel stereo input. How that is accomplished is over here with this switch. It asks you 4-channel stereo or 2-channel bridged. If you want to do this config, simply switch this over and you're done. This still has input selector of 2-channel and 4-channel. The difference would be the type of installation you're going to be doing. So for example, if you're going to be powering 4 6.5s and you only have a left and right input, you'd put it in 2-channel mode. If you're going to be powering those 4 6.5s and you have, let's say, a front and a rear, you'd put it in 4-channel mode. If you're going to be powering just 2 6.5s because you want to bridge the amplifier, that's when you use this switch over here. Crossovers are up next. Both channels 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 gives us the option for low, high, or full range with a selectable frequency range of 50 to 500 hertz. Next is gain. Your RCA input voltage range is 200 milliamps to 4 volts. Your high level input range is between 700 milliamps to 12 volts. So plenty of adjustability there. The last is this corner here that has to do with whether you're going to be using high level or low level. So this is your auto sense on. You have signal sense off, which would mean you're running a 12 volt into it, and DC offset, meaning we're going to be hooking it up to a factory radio with the DC offset output. That's a 6 volts DC that comes out of the speaker wires. Now we keep talking about how small this amplifier is, so let's take a look at that. We have 8.25 inches in length. We have just a tad over 5 inches in depth. And at the back of the amplifier is 1 7/8. And at the front of the amplifier, it's 1 1/8. Another unique feature about this amplifier that you may not have noticed is there's no feet for mounting anywhere on this amplifier. It is footless. If you flip amplifier over, you'll notice there are these 4 holes on the bottom of it, and they're a threaded insert. And what those can be used for is making a mounting bracket for it. So if you're going to mount this into vehicle of some kind, you can drill 4 holes, attach this to the bracket without having any feet off. If that sounds crazy and you're like, I don't want to do that, don't worry. There is a parts bag that's included with the amplifier. Inside of it are 4 feet to mount it. The cool thing is I can mount them like this with the feet coming off to the side, or I can mount it like this with the feet coming off of the front. Now looking at the top, we see there's 6 more screws here, and that means there's 6 more screws that we get to remove. Well, those 6 screws don't get this, although we can tell it's definitely loose. Let's keep going. We got 4 more here on the side. Ooh, that comes off. Ah, there we go. A little pressure and it released the top panel. With the top and side off, we can take a closer look into the inner workings of the amplifier. The first thing that we see are those two 30 amp fuses that are inside. We can see the power supply section here with all the added goo to it to hold it in place because it's going to be getting the crap shook out of it at the front of the vehicle. We can see the conformal coating that has been added to the inside of this. There's also a fan located here at the back of the amplifier, and then all of the adjustment panels are attached in these vertical panels here towards the back. These are some shielded power supplies inside of here. I mean, the layout of the amplifier is very organized. It looks really cool on how everything is like set up. I like it. It looks extremely well thought out. How you have like things separated from one another that make noise. It's pretty cool for sure. I like the layout of it. But the layout aside only tells half the story of the amplifier. Does this layout put out the power it's supposed to? Well, the only way to find out is to take this over to the dyno and find out what it's capable of doing. It's going to be certified 4 ohm run. All channels are loaded down. And that gets us a 165 and a 168 on certified 4 ohm run. With a 165 and a 168, you know what comes next? Dynamic power run at 4 ohms. That gets us a 175 and a 174. Now this amplifier will do 2 ohm stereo. Let's see what kind of power we get out of it. Doing 2 ohm stereo, certified dyno run, 211 and 228. Uncertified is next. 251. 262. Dynamic power run at 2 ohm is next. That gives us a 235 and a 245. All right, guys, there you go. We hope you enjoyed this. We hope you liked the experience of checking out the Moto 720. And wow, who doesn't like a dyno, right? Fernando, if you please.
On to the next one, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, ask questions, do all those other fun things that you like to do here on YouTube. You guys have a great night. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye. Now, one of the things buried deep inside of the amplifier, which I love finding, are these little things here, like this, where it says, "In memory of Bob." Little beret wearing guy right there with a goatee, pretty cool. And of course, the Arc Audio logo.